to tell them about how you came to be in the wheelchair. This is your perfect opportunity to talk about you. You wanted an introduction video. Everybody always sees me in a video, but
I'm in the background.
Hey, you remember Vogue?
Yep.
I'm at a red light. Green light. Okay, Deborah. She's all yours. Do you want to talk about?
Well,
Do you want me to interview you?
2013.
Okay, can you talk a little louder for the camera so the family can hear you?
Well, back in 2013,
2013.
I was cleaning off my back patio
Cleaning off your back patio
deck.
Patio deck.
I was bending down to pick up something next to the railing. And the next thing I know is my eyes are opening seconds before I'm hitting the ground face down.
So you fell
My
forward?
head flipped to the left like this, and I was immediately paralyzed. I think our deck is like maybe 6 feet high, but it was like one of those perfect storms, what they call the perfect storm, that everything was hidden. But it was like, you know, I used to hear people say like moving in slow motion. When I opened my eyes, it was like my body was moving in slow motion before I hit. And I lied there just not being able to move. Now,
could you describe the position of your fall? Because I think you told us earlier, or me, about which position your hand was in when you fell.
yeah, my right hand flipped. This right arm was flipped backwards. That flipped backwards, and so it looked like it was not a part of my body. I couldn't feel it. I could see it, but I couldn't feel it. It looked like it wasn't even attached to my body. The scary part was I lived in the country, so I was the only one home, just me and my 2 dogs. Now, they had left me and gone out into the field to get in the pond or whatever they do out in the field, chase rabbits, squirrels, deer. And so to stay conscious, I just started talking to God. And my first words were, please remember me. Then I started focusing on, I never focused on, am I going to die? I just focused on having a conversation with God and asking Him to remember me. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. You can talk louder if you want. I'm trying to get on the freeway, so.
Well, it's kind of hard when you're in the car on the freeway talking.
Well, I can't get you to be still and talk at home, so.
I can finish it up at home.
While you have a captive audience,
what happened.
I can hear you. While you have a captive audience, this is a perfect opportunity to make a video.
Okay.
I think, you know, what's interesting about the day she fell, it was a day that my son, her nephew, she helped raise, who has autism, kept calling her and calling her and calling her, and he was like, something's wrong, she's not answering. And I'm like, maybe she's busy.
Oh yeah, because before I went to clean off the back patio, he had called me, and I told him I would have nothing to do. I was going to feed baptism, I need to call him back. And I didn't call him back.
So he was pestering me all day. Call her. She not answering. I tried to call, but she didn't answer. And then I think he was away from the house. And he called me so much, I got tired of answering his call. But then when he got home, he said, you should answer your phone. Deborah failed. Deborah is at the hospital. Deborah can't feel anything. And I'm like, what? How do you know? I talked to her mother-in-law. You should answer your phone. And then I go, oh my goodness. Then I said, there's only one hospital in her town. And I called her, she wasn't there. And then when I called her mother-in-law, I was informed that she was flown in to a bigger hospital by helicopter. And she was conscious when she got into ER, but then shortly after that.
Well, we're jumping way ahead because I didn't finish about my, how long I was on the ground.
Okay. Do you know how long you were on the ground?
No, I don't. I just know that,
Well, we're going to tell how long you were on the ground?
I don't know. I have no concept of time. I just know it was a long time. And I just remember that Bible passages kept coming through my head. And I wasn't going to scream because and ask for help appreciation for animals, and I already love bears so much. That made me love him even more. He did that for me. And that God allowed him to do that. Jehovah allowed him to do that for me. So I stayed conscious the whole time. They kept telling me, don't close your eyes, don't go to sleep. They put a neck brace on me. I heard someone say, what's wrong with her arm? Why her arm looks like that? And that's all I remember about that. And then I've never been in a helicopter. The ambulance took me to the hospital, the local hospital. And then there they already had a helicopter waiting for me. And they airlifted me from Texas to Louisiana. And I still stayed conscious the whole time in the helicopter. They kept talking to me, telling me, don't go to sleep. Don't close your eyes. Keep talking to us. And then when I got in the hospital and they put me on the hospital gurney, they were rolling me down the hall for tests, for x-rays, maybe I don't know what they were doing. And I got this really bad pain. All of a sudden my body woke up. I had a feeling for the first time. And I screamed in pain. And they said, what's the matter? All I could remember is I was telling them everybody was having pain, and then that was it. I didn't wake up for days later. And that's when I found out. Well, I didn't really find out until after surgeries and all that. I guess they had me in a coma. I'm not sure, but I woke up with trachs in my throat, feeding tubes in my body, and I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything but move my eyes. Couldn't move my head, neck, nothing. And I just seen I saw a room full of people coming in to see me, and just a whole lot of people, family and friends coming to see me. And I was trying to comprehend what was going on. And it wasn't until later that I found out what was going on. But I didn't have the ability to speak. And I couldn't tell anyone what had really happened. I couldn't speak to anyone except glad you're here or thank you, I love you guys. I just couldn't. For months I didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
So that was hard. A lot of things happen when you don't have a voice, especially when you're in a vulnerable position where people are taking care of you, and people tend to do things and you can't tell people, and they know that. So I prayed a lot. So we'll get into that some other time. But that's how I became a quadriplegic in February 2013. Never forget that. Since then, my dog has died. He died earlier this year. I miss him so much. And everyone took care of him. They loved him so much for what he did for me. And my sister-in-law was beautiful. And my brother-in-law, they fed him, they took him, they fattened him. He was spoiled, well taken care of. And he had such a personality. He always felt like he could talk to me. And that's how I raised him since he was a puppy. We had a great bond of communication. So we're home now. So that's my story for now. So stay tuned for part 2. Bye for now.
Yeah, I just want to add a little to her story. When I got the call, like I say, my son told me about her. Then...
Oh, I forgot to say my husband showed up.
Yeah.
My husband came, and it was just, I couldn't speak to him. I could see him. I could see the tears in his eyes. And I wanted to thank him so much for being there for me, too, when he came, but I didn't have the voice.
And so, once I got the word, I started preparing to come to Texas from California. And there was preparations I needed to do at home, like put food in the house, find someone to take care of the children. And so there was 1 day delay in me getting a flight. I had a flight within 2 days. Although someone told me get out immediately. I didn't. I went out the second day of her fall. And that morning before I left, I'm preparing for like a 5 o'clock flight, I'm up at 2. The ER doctor called and said she lost consciousness. That is often the case with someone with a spinal cord injury, which was a break from C3 to C5. And he goes, I need to do a trach or she's going to die. Give me permission.
My husband was on the train. My understanding is my husband was on the train traveling to get to me, and they couldn't get a hold of him on the train. So thank goodness, everyone do if something happens to you, you have something in writing so people know who to contact. And if they can't contact that person, have a second person to handle. So my sister was second to call off my husband, and she took the ball on it. So I let her finish.
Yeah, so I gave the doctor permission to do the trach. And then I said, I'm on my way. I'll get there. He says, I don't have time to wait on you. She's going to die. Give me permission over the phone. So I gave him permission. And then, of course, I hopped on the plane at 5. All-day transportation to get to her town. And so when I arrived at her town, she was in ER because I flew into Louisiana. And she was in ER, and they had no place to put her at this university hospital other than the burn unit, and she already had a trach. And so with her already having a trach, there was no conversation. And I looked at her, and the driver that picked us up, I said, she's trying to tell me something. I said, but I'm here. And so we stayed 14 days until she had her neck surgery and until we could place her in a rehab home to try to help take care of her for the first 14 days. But I have to say, it was one of the most what's the right word? Hardest things I had to endure or go through because she had the trach and because I had to be her power of attorney at that time in order to help pull her through. And I was also in a state that believed you have no rights. Do what I tell you, but that's not me. I want to know. I wanted to see the x-ray. I wanted to know where the break was. What were you going to do to fix it? And so, hey, you can save that for another video because a lot happened quickly. And my primary concern was to see Deborah through that and to see that she was safe and that she had the best care.
And I want to also, before you go, I also want to give a shout out to my husband because he would come to the hospital and spend night after night in that hospital with me. They wouldn't let him stay long, but he would go into one of those rooms and sleep in one of those waiting rooms. He would pack a suitcase. He'd come with a suitcase, and he'd tell me, I'm going to be sleeping in that waiting room. I'll be here in the morning when you wake up. Night after night, he did that. And I have to say, I love him so much for doing that for me. I do remember it, even though I couldn't say anything at the time. I do remember and appreciate it. And even though he wasn't treated the kindest, because he didn't want to leave, he still did it anyway. So I thank him and my sister, Cleo, for being there for me and doing what they had to do so that I'm here today.
Yeah.